Welcome everyone. This is Amida Cares LYL Healthy Snack Session. This is Jalpa Dhaduk. She's going to be showing us how to make a few simple recipes that's going to be very healthy for us and to help us. She is a mediation and Reiki teacher, and she teaches simple and practical ways to integrate mindfulness in daily life and to help ease the stress and anxiety by, creating these great recipes, these great healthy recipes. And Jalpa, if you want, you can step in.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. So today we are learning 3 different snacks, and the reason snacks are nice is because around 3 to 4 p.m., so kind of right now, our body has a natural cortisol dip. And what that means is that so we're all born with like a natural circadian rhythm. In the morning, our cortisol level, which is a stress hormone, and in healthy amounts, we need it. So we get a nice burst in the morning around 6 a.m. and then it dips a little bit at 10 a.m. and then it goes up. And then around 4 p.m., which is when we typically reach for coffee, snacks, sugar, right? Yes. It's because our bodies naturally have a need for a little boost. It's a very natural cycle. So if we can use our natural circadian rhythm and supplement it with snacks to support our body, right? That it's easier to establish certain good habits that don't aggravate our nervous system and kind of keep that energy going throughout the day. And especially when people are trying to manage their weight and blood sugar, this snack time around this time, 3 to 4 p.m. is super important because it helps you regulate your blood sugar, but also it keeps us from overeating in the evening. So let's get started. The first recipe we're gonna do is roasted chickpeas. It's so easy. It takes 5 minutes to put together. You stick it in the oven and you take it out 20 minutes later. I mean, it's as simple as it gets. All right, so we have, I think the recipe is already sent to you guys, but so I'm not gonna go over the measurements. I'll just go over the ingredients. I have chickpeas here drained, and all I'm gonna do is add some salt, olive oil, and paprika, but you can also add garlic powder, curry powder, whatever your taste buds appreciate. I've used roasted chickpeas in salads. I use them as snacks. And so legumes are chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans, lentils, and especially for women, I think we have mostly women here, but even for men, but it really supports our natural infradian system, which is our menstrual cycle system, our hormones. It's great for the hormones. It's kind of like an ideal food. It has protein, right? All the legumes and lentils has proteins, carbs, and fiber. So it's really good on its own as well as a snack. And for salt, a salt that is much, much better for us is sea salt or Himalayan sea salt. The table salt that we see at the grocery store, at restaurants, what it does is it retains water, right? So we get puffiness if we eat out a little bit. But what sea salt does is actually flushes us out. So it decreases bloating, but it's preventative, right? Especially if someone's borderline blood pressure, has blood pressure and they need a little bit of salt. Sea salt is a much better option. Because I don't know about you, it's hard for me to eat food without a little bit of it. I can put all the seasoning in the world, but if it doesn't have enough salt, it doesn't really hit the spot. So as a preventative measure, we always just want to use the higher quality, right? It's something that supports the body. That's it. I'm going to throw it here. This is parchment paper with a tray. I preheated the oven to 425. We stick it in for 20, 25 minutes. I'm gonna just shake it up in the middle to make sure like it gets to all the sides, and that's it.
When you make that, is it something that will last for a while? How long can you store it?
So in the fridge, it'll last for like 4 days, but if you keep it like outside in a container, like 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And if you put it in the refrigerator, does it still keep the nice crunch? Or does it get a little softer?
It gets a little softer. But what you can do is if you have an air fryer, you can just like pop it in for 2 minutes when you want to eat it, and or when you want to put on a salad, and it'll kind of get that crunch back.
Got to have that crunch.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay. And also, if anyone has any questions, just like stop me. You can either raise your hand, type it in the chat box, or unmute yourself. If you have a question, I imagine somebody else might have the same. So please just stop me. All right.
Have you ever made that like a sweet and salty kind of thing where you might add a little dried fruit to that? Is that a good, I mean, I'm just thinking of that, throwing it out, because sometimes I have a little sweet tooth, especially during TV time in the evening.
You know, I've never had sweet chickpeas. It doesn't sound appealing to me, but you should try and you should let us know.
Yeah, like a couple of maybe diced apricot and throw it in there with the spicy chickpea or raisin. I don't know.
Actually, it may, right? Because we have like salty and savory, and I'm sorry, savory and sweet in a salad. Yeah, it might be like a nice combination. Absolutely. I'll
You try.
I can probably have it with a side of fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the Magenta Dip is a nice twist on hummus. I always tell people, like, if you can make hummus at home, just, sorry about that. My fire alarm's really sensitive. Okay. With hummus, if you can make hummus yourself, it is one, super cost effective. A container of hummus is like, I'm sorry. Hopefully that's it. A container of hummus is like $4 or $5, right? You get an ingredients. You have chickpeas, you have tahini, garlic, lime, olive oil. I don't know, maybe like $5 for all of that. And then you can just keep making it. Because it's probably like, if you break it down, like $1 per like whole container if you make it at home. Plus, like, there's no preservatives in it. And it's like, hummus is like a smoothie. Like, you just stick all the things in a blender and you blend it, and then you have it for the week. So today we're going to do the Magenta Dip. Is instead of chickpeas, we're using white beans. And then we're throwing in beets. Beets they're root vegetables. So they're very grounding. They're really good for digestion. And studies have shown, like, if you are working out or if you're training for a marathon, beets they help increase blood flow and lung capacity. So like, research has shown that, well, the research was done on like beet juice, like, so raw beet juice. Okay, I'm gonna turn this on. So I'm just gonna get started. We have white beans, I have beets cut up. We're gonna add tahini. You can get tahini at any grocery store. Tahini is basically sesame paste. It's like peanut butter, but made from sesame seeds, salt, lime, garlic. That's it. And you just blend it up. If you don't want to use white beans, you can also use chickpeas. So we have the beets, the white beans, squeeze in some lemon, garlic. And if you like spicy, you can throw in half a jalapeno in here. Any hummus, just throw in like a bit of a pepper to give it like a nice kick. It's really good. The trick to a good dip is like generous tahini.
I actually like tahini sauce.
You do? Yeah, it's so good. Do you have it with anything, or do you make your own?
I used to go to this spot that used to be not too far from the office. It was called Hummus and Pita.
Yeah.
And I got addicted to the tahini with on top of the chicken and like the steak. Oh my gosh, I just got addicted to it. I couldn't stop eating it.
It's so good. And have you ever made tahini sauce at home?
But now that you like show me that, I want to go and get that.
This is so easy. And then a tahini sauce, like the ones you get at restaurants, is literally tahini, lime, salt, and garlic in a blender with some water. That's it.
Don't tell me that, because I might get addicted to making it.
It'll be so much more cost effective for you to make it at home and just keep a container in the fridge. And then I actually put on my salads as a dressing as well.
Yeah, that I wouldn't put it past like putting it using it as a dressing too, because it tastes so good that it couldn't be used as that.
For sure. All right, I'm gonna blend it.
And when they make the tahini paste, is it just a matter of tons of sesame and a little oil and just put it in a blender and that's how you make paste?
Yes. So no, like the tahini sauce that her and I were just talking about, Melissa and I, no oil, just like tons of tahini, water, garlic, lime, and salt.
Mm.
And because tahini is so thick, like whenever we go to the restaurant, right, like tahini sauce is thin, so you have to put like a decent amount of water in there.
Mm.
With this dip, you may have to add a little bit of water to kind of just blend it properly. If you have like a Vitamix or a Ninja, you need less. I have a magic bullet because I just make single servings of everything. So you may just need a little bit more. And this recipe calls for mint. Mint is excellent for digestion, for bloating. When I work with brides, we do a lot of herbs, like to decrease bloating, like the week of the wedding, or like, 2 weeks leading up to the wedding. So lots of basil, cilantro, mint, fresh mint, like all the fresh herbs. And, you can make bunch of like paste with it. You can put it in teas, but it really helps like decrease the bloating. And mint tea is really good after like a heavy meal to help like break the food down and get the digestion going. And mint grows like a weed. So if you just like have it, in your backyard, or if you live in apartments, like it's really easy to grow and just have fresh mint all year round.
I just kind of discovered mint. I never used to use it. at all. I mean, I was just to think, oh, you throw it in iced tea or something like that. I never really figured out how to use. And now I just sort of use it in so many different ways, and it just adds that very interesting flavor to almost anything. I like it.
What, the mint?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you guys can see, it's like a really nice magenta. It's really pretty. If you have children, great hack to get them to, you know, just get some more vegetables in. Okay. So that's the magenta dip. And pour our Does anyone have any questions, comments before we move on to the next one?
You said that beets are really good for the blood. I know a lot of people, a lot of doctors have talked about, yes, I mean, the color of red, it's almost like an interesting concept. It's red, it's associated with blood. Yeah. But it's really good. I guess other reasons that it's really good for the blood, is it just enhances red blood cell production, or is there anything else that we need to know about it?
When I was reading up on it, it said it enhances blood flow. So the more blood flow that's going into the lungs during any like exercise or movement, the better the endurance and the lung capacity, right? So it was specific for like endurance training.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if it's a good vessel anti-inflammatory as well, you know, to open up.
Yeah. That was basically it, right? Like it was the nitric oxide. It's a very big anti-inflammatory.
I'm sorry for me being late.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Just gonna mute everyone. All right. Beautiful. And a fun little hack. So our food has, our stomach has something called hydrochloric acid, which helps break down our food. And in the modern world, because of all the processed lifestyles that are just sort of, you know, way too easy, right? Like it's almost hard to escape. A lot of us have decreased hydrochloric acid, which slows down our digestion. If you want to test if you have enough like digestive juices to, you know, in your stomach, you can have beets, like cooked beets or raw beets, and then within 12 hours, when you eliminate, if it's not red, then that means like your digestion is slow. Because a lot of times, you know, it's like people are doing all the right things. They're working out, they're eating well, right? And things just like aren't moving. And it's really a clue for us to dig a little bit deeper with our digestion, right? Because you could be eating all the right things and doing all the right things, but if your body isn't breaking down the food and then absorbing the nutrients, it's sort of just sitting there. And that buildup can cause inflammation and brain fog, and also causes like frustration because, you know, you're doing all the right things, you know, that the blanket statements that are made in media. So it's just a good way to test how your digestion is. So 12 to like 15 hours. So if you eat it like for dinner, then ideally the next day, you should be eliminating, and like you'll see it, it'll be like super red. Okay, so our last one is the mint pineapple salsa. You can tell I like mint because it's in like everything I put in these days. It grows at my aunt's house like a weed, and it's just like, it's so good. And so I have like a lot of it. So we have mint, pineapple, black beans, onion, cilantro, lime juice, olive oil, salt, and pepper. Super easy. It's a nice salsa. You can have it with tortilla chips. And also, you know, I find it to be, it is a lot more nutritional than the canned or like the bottled salsa, right? Because there's preservatives and, you know, that one typically just has tomatoes, but this is also just like a nice way to get in protein, which is the black beans. You have some good carbs from the pineapple. And then you have like a digestive aid with the mint and the lime. So it's a lot cleaner, low caloric value, low glycemic, and you'll just feel a lot more full when you use like a salsa like this versus the bottled salsa, because it has a lot of girth to it. And with the pineapple, I know not everyone likes cutting pineapple. So what I typically do is I get frozen pineapple already cut up, and then I just defrost it and I chop it up for this salsa, because it's going to be doused in like lime and olive oil anyways. So I have everything here ready. We're going to throw in some chopped mint, black beans. So in an ideal world, I would soak the black beans and then cook them in the Instapot, because the canned ones, you know, there's like preservatives around the rim, and it takes preservatives to preserve the beans in the can. But for emergencies, this works. Also very cost effective to soak any beans or lentils and just cook them in an Instapot. Does anyone have an Instapot? Pressure cooker?
Yeah, but I just got it and I have to learn how to use it.
If somebody said I could only have two gadgets, and I would have to make meals out of it for like a month, it would be the Instapot and a blender. The Instapot, it's $100. It is the best $100 I have ever spent. You can get it on Amazon. It is so effective. You can saute, bake. I mean, they're so fancy. Like I have like the older version from like 2018, but now like they do everything. Like you don't even need a stove.
Yeah, you don't. Yep.
You don't. Like when people go camping, this is what they bring. It's $100 well spent. But you know, I'm vegan. So like with the amount of legumes that I eat, it is just easier for me to soak them, cook them, and then I have them for like 3-4 days in the fridge for everything. Okay, so we have the beans, and then I've chopped up pineapple, and it's nice because when you do the frozen version, it collects some of that juice and it gives it like that nice tangy taste. And then I have onion and cilantro. The recipe calls for red onions. You can use red or white, it doesn't matter. And then cilantro. Does anyone have an aversion to cilantro? I know some people do.
No, I think it's the greatest thing, but yes, it's either you hate it or you love it.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah.
No,
I can't.
Really, it's something. I don't know whether that's like a genetic link there. That,
I could use it for seasoning, but you see, like to eat it, just no.
I know when it's hiding in my food. Like I know when it's there. I can't.
No, like you see like Chipotle, they did like the cilantro rice, and at first when I first went to Chipotle, I didn't like it, but now it grew on me a little bit. But cilantro is not something I like I said, I'll use it for my seasoning to, you know, cook and stuff like that, but I will not eat it directly.
So like if you were to make this, would you just skip the cilantro? Because you would obviously get like bites of it. Yeah.
Definitely.
So,
It'll ruin
like,
the
it
whole
will
thing.
overpower it.
For me.
I guess maybe you could substitute basil if you wanted, right? No?
Basil's a little spicy.
Yeah, it is a little spicy.
I feel like, no, it might be a bit of an acquired taste, because it's like adding basil to salsa, right? Like you can, but it kind of like feels weird.
Yeah.
But you can just skip the cilantro. It's not like, you know, if you don't like the taste, it's going to ruin it for you. But without the cilantro, it tastes equally good. We're going to add some lime. I love just like tangy, sour taste. Is anybody like the sour parts of life? And some olive oil. Yeah, stir it in. This is also great, like, you know, when you go to like summer barbecues and you have to bring a dish, super easy. Pick up some chips. And honestly, if you want to add some tomatoes to this, absolutely can. Again, if you like spicy, add a jalapeno. I usually add jalapenos to mine. I think I add jalapenos to most things I make. And that's it. It's super simple. It looks good. It has tons of protein. Does anybody feel like they're always hungry? Okay. So,
Yeah.
I asked because I used to have that issue. And I felt like I was just, you know, hungry. Like I would eat and then like an hour and a half later, it's very disruptive to the day because then you're like constantly thinking about food. So I recently started adding like protein to like all my meals, like even like breakfast, I would add like chia seeds with some fruit and oatmeal, and you know, sometimes I'll even have like a tofu scramble, right? Like just straight up like protein, lunch, dinner. And I have to tell you, like I feel like I have like a personality change because I have space to focus on other things.
Mm-hmm. I guess the protein balances more the blood sugar too throughout the day, maybe, yeah.
Definitely, but balances the blood sugar. But I find, I mean, I don't know any different because I've never eaten animal protein. But even so, if you are eating animal protein, then it's still going to be super important to have some veggies, like something with like live enzymes to help break down the food. You know, our bodies can't handle like this is from a lecture I had in nutrition school from a paleo expert, and he said that our bodies cannot digest animal protein for more than 3-4 meals a week. So like not 3-4 days a week, 3-4 meals a week. I know, right? Well, it's I hear you, because if you think about like just the society we live in, right? Like it's people think you're crazy. And it's almost like, you know, it's like, well, what else do I eat if I'm not eating animal protein?
I mostly eat the protein because, like you said, like I always feel hungry. So it's like, because if I try to eat fish, I don't get me wrong, I like fish, but like literally like 30 minutes to maybe an hour later, I'm hungry again. So that's why I'm like, I will more so do like the animal protein because it kind of is more heavier and I feel like it keeps me, you know, full longer versus the fish. But then again, um, I have a very high metabolism. So like my sister's been telling me I need to be on like a high protein diet, but I'm just like I don't know. I don't know if it's because like I'm getting older, but I'm like I can't eat as much as I used to as well. So it's just like the portion size that I used to put away back then is not like now.
Yeah, I mean, we do. So like in Ayurvedic medicine, which is like, it originates from India, but also, you know, it's Chinese medicine says similar concepts that as like, I believe the age is like 32, 33. Like, you know, as we move from our 30s into our early 40s, like our metabolism, it's not our metabolism, but like the body just needs less food, right? So your portion size do get smaller. Like if you look at like a super like old person, like a geriatric in their 80s, they eat tiny portions, and it's simply because their body doesn't need it. When we are going through our growth spurts, right? Like from the ages of like 0 to like 25, 26 is typically when we like fully mature, depending on, you know, the study. We need more food because we are growing. But after that, once we have kind of like stabilized, we don't need as much food as, you know, we think we do.
And you're totally right about that, because I believe it's around like 25, 26. Like that's when I stopped like eating so much. But
Mhm.
at the same time, like you said, I do get that feeling like all the time, like, I'm like, am I still hungry? And then I'm like, yeah, I'm still hungry. But it's like I can only eat in small portions now instead
Yeah.
of the big portions like I used to.
Are you drinking enough water?
Yeah, that's one thing that I've changed, because when I tell you, like in my early 20s to teens, do not tell me about water. I do not like the taste of water. I hated it. But now that's all I basically drink now.
Okay. Yeah. Are you sleeping enough? Are you sleeping deeply?
Not deeply, but I'm getting some type of it's
Okay.
not like how, like when I was younger, like those nice long sleeps so you could sleep all day. No, I can't do
Yeah.
that.
Because when we don't get like, so it's not necessarily like the full 8 hours, but it's like the deep REM cycle that we're really looking for. When we don't get that, our hunger hormones are off. And so it's like our body thinks it's hungry, not physically hungry, but like mentally hungry, because it's like, I need energy, I need energy, I need energy. And then so we keep eating because we think, we're tired or whatever. But like you'll notice, like some people tell me on weekends they tend to eat less because they tend to sleep better, they tend to sleep longer, so you just like don't need more food. But when they don't sleep enough during, or like good quality sleep on the weekdays, they tend to eat more. So just kind of being aware and seeing how your body is responding.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Any other questions? Even like just like dietary or nutrition, like even if it's stuff based on like your own experience, we have some time, and I'm happy to like answer anything or bust any myths to the best of my ability. Because there's a lot of blanket statements made in the media, right? Like one day this is good, the next day that's not, and it's like it's super confusing.
Can't keep track anymore. I just
Yeah, no, I hear you. And then you can find contradicting research for everything.
That is the truth. And it's up to us to kind of continuously be little explorers and sift through a lot of that, because that is true. But I like this concept of these kinds of snacks too, because it's balancing the blood sugar too, but they really sustain you very nicely throughout the day. And they're easy to make and bring to work, some of these things, it's really, you sort of have to train yourself to rely less on the donuts and the pretzels and the chips and all that. And if you're able to add a little of that sea salt in there, gives you, surprising once you start shifting gradually into these different ways of eating, you don't really look back. You don't seem to miss that other stuff,
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. So that brings me to 2 points. One, once your taste buds clean out, you actually don't crave those other foods, but also, so in the nutrition, I don't want to say nutrition, in the food industry, because it is a for-profit industry, anything that's packaged, they have something, it's called the bliss point. So let's say I'm creating a granola, and so you go to these food scientists, and what they do is they find the perfect amount of sweet and savory to have you feel addicted to the food. That's in most processed foods, even if it says like vegan, keto. No, it's a business. So the goal is for you to consume more. The goal is for them to have people buy more so they can make more profits, right? It's a business. And so when we understand it that way, you can start to kind of like, deconstruct some of these things. Like people are like, oh, I can't just eat one cookie, and they start to shame themselves. No, it's designed to keep you addicted.
Yeah, that's the truth, man. These food universities devoted to all of that,
Yes. There's like they hook people up to like nodes in the brain to like see which part of the brain gets stimulated. Like there's a science behind addiction, and they figured it out. And white sugar is 3 times more, it stimulates the same part of our brain as cocaine, and it's 3 times more addictive, right? So what happens after you eat like a candy bar? You want
la 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 la, and then crash.
Right.
An hour later.
And then what happens when you get like a big bar and you're like, I'll just have half? It's never half, right?
Yeah, you end up eating the whole thing.
Right. And it's like, but my point is like, you know, this cycle of like guilt and like negative self-talk, right? It's very harmful for us because it starts to trickle over in other areas. It's like we're basically putting down our own self-trust and self-confidence, like a form of self-betrayal, right? And I know that's like a little deep for this session, but it's the truth. And so once we understand the science and the psychology behind certain things, we can be like, okay, well, I'm gonna try to eat half of this, but if I eat the whole thing, it's gonna be fine because it's designed to chemically addict me. And then, you know, it's like you're not sitting there shaming yourself and guilting yourself, or you get the bite size because you know you're going to want the whole thing. So if you have like 3 bite sizes versus a whole candy, you know, you can make like more conscious, aware choices. I when I first like was starting to wean myself off sugar, I told myself I used to like love dessert. And so I told myself I'll have dessert, but I'll make it at home. So like I would make my own chocolate chip cookies. I would make my own muffins from scratch, including, you know, white flour, coconut palm sugar, coconut, like I'll use all the good stuff, right? And then it was easier and I would take it to work every day. But there's like ways to kind of move about this in a gentle way that is just more honoring our bodies and our mindsets and our needs and food is a lot of times we eat food for emotions, right? To like manage our emotions but just be honest about it and know that like that sweet you need after a meal is an emotional thing, not a physical need. But just be honest.
I know I used to do it when I was bored.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, like 2020 was that like a whole year of like, I'm home all day long.
I would just open the fridge and just look at it like, and I'll just be like, Melissa, it hasn't changed for the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes that you was just in there.
I know. My husband was always opening the refrigerator, and I said, you know, I was gonna do like did one of those old Rodney Dangerfield movies, and I was gonna put a little buzzer in there every time you open the door. Fatty.
You should have. I recorded when they opened it.
Fatty. But yeah, you know, and I guess that was the thing, you know, always trying to figure out different things you can eat. And even if you have a sweet tooth, coming up with different snacks you can eat. And I think it was you or somebody, Jalpa, about medjool dates and different types of things that would be better sweeteners as a snack, you know, with nuts.
So the 4 types of sugar that are good for us are raw honey. So you do not boil honey, you do not heat it up. Once you make your tea, you let it sit for a minute and then you add in the honey. Honey is medicinal. It's like truly medicine, but it has to be like not really heated. Coconut palm sugar, you can get that at Trader Joe's. You can, you know, any health food store. I think they even have it at like, you know, ShopRite or like regular grocery stores now. Liquid stevia. So not the powder because stevia is a green plant. And so if you go to Mexico, when you see the stevia packets, it's green. In the US, we bleach it, so it's white. If you get we bleach a lot of our foods. Heaven knows why, but we do it. So just, you know, being aware, but just get the liquid one, right? It's like, it's organic liquid stevia. It's good. And then organic maple syrup. So not Aunt Jemima's, but like, you know, I feel like Aunt Jemima's can't even be considered maple syrup. It's like sugar, high fructose corn syrup water. And what happens is like when we start having those like cleaner sugars, you need less and less because they're not meant to be addictive, right? Like our grandmothers, our great grandmothers, like no one was addicted to junk food.
Never.
Right, because they ate from the earth and
yeah,
they look amazing into their 70s, 80s, and 90s.
And then they always telling us, don't put that junk in your body.
Yes, absolutely. My grandma, bless her soul, is like, we think in her 90s, and I say that because like back in the day in India, they didn't have birth certificates. So we guesstimate she's in her 90s. And like, you know, she has arthritis, but like girlfriend still like walks up and down the stairs, which is really impressive. But
There's people that's younger than her and can't get up the stairs. So all to her, more life to her. Keep going.
But a part of that, I believe, is like truly like, you know, that generation, all of our grandparents, they ate like farm to table, right?
Yep.
There was no extra or excess anything. So it shows like they're healthy as horses, like and late into their, you know, 80s and 90s.
You said nowadays, like they put so much stuff into the food, you never know what's, you know, what are we eating or consuming anymore now.
Yes. Yeah. And I think even when we do try to eat clean, like obviously it costs more. So that is definitely a hindrance, especially if you're trying to feed like a family, right, with kids and all that good stuff. So it's tough, but I find, you know, there's certain tricks that like work, you know, buying raw things, cooking them at home. And then, you know, even as we like decrease our meat consumption, meat costs more than like, it's an expensive food, right? If you look at like the spectrum of things. So even just like substituting certain meals with like a different kind of protein can help, especially as food is becoming more and more expensive, right? So I think this is like a good time for us to kind of just like to audit, right? Like long-term planning, how we can still have good food and not deprive ourselves, but like maybe there's ways to like manage the grocery bill every week or every month. All right, any questions? I feel like I've been talking for a very long time. All right, well, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. If anyone has any questions, you can reach me on Instagram, just like shoot me a message. I'll type in my Instagram handle on there, in the chat box.
Okay, great.
Thank
you so much, Jalpa.
So we could get the receipt, the recipe that you just made. We could get that.
Yes, absolutely. Nancy should have sent it, but I'll ask her to send it out to Amida again, and then you guys can forward it out. Absolutely.
Okay, no worries. Yes, we'll make sure that you guys get the recipe. Who just email us.
Oh, that'd be good. Oh, thank you.
It should be in the chat too, as well. You know, you guys can check in the chat.
Let me look at it a minute.
Yeah, all 3 ingredients are in the chat.
I'm trying to open it up. Okay, I got it now.
No worries. Just let us know when you're good, and then we'll.
Awesome. I'm good. Thank you so much. Have a good week.
Thank you so much, Jalpa, again. Hope everybody, and thank you everybody for attending Amida Cares Healthy Snack Session. If you guys would like any more of the recipes, you guys, like we said, you guys can reach out to us and we can always email or text you guys the information, and be on the lookout for our next LYL event.
Have a good week, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good week, everybody.